morning. Everyone has been admitted from the lobby, and we are now recording.
Good morning, everyone, and Happy New Year. Welcome to today's meeting of the Agricultural Labor Relations Board. We are now called to order. I will first call the roll. Board Member Broad?
Present.
Board Member Flores?
Present.
Board Member Hall?
Present.
Wonderful. Board Member Lightstone?
Present.
Thank you. Also present for today is our staff. We have our Executive Secretary, Santiago Avila Gomez, and Devika Ganawardena, who are providing technical support. We will start today with the open session of our meeting, and then we'll have an opportunity for public comment. Members of the public who have contacted the board either by email or phone and asked to be placed in the public comment queue will be called upon first. If you did not request to make public comment in advance, you still may do so through one of several ways. You can use the raise hand feature in Zoom. You can make a request in the chat, or you can email Santiago Avila Gomez to be placed in the queue. One moment. Oh, let me do that Spanish when you're done. Okay. Please note we ask that you use the chat feature only to indicate that you wish to make comments. Substantive comments in the chat will not be made part of the public record. We also ask that you provide your name and organization if applicable, and this information will become part of the official record of today's proceedings. If you wish to speak more than once, please alert staff and have your name placed back in the queue if you are able. If you have technical difficulties when you are called up, please reach out to us via the Zoom chat function or email, and we will come back to you. I'm realizing I did not give my normal advisory that we do have Spanish interpretation available today. Even if you are able to hear me now, in order to have the best sound quality of the meeting, please go to the lower right, and on the interpretation or language button, select either English or Spanish. And I will let our executive officer give that advisory as well.
Buenos días y gracias por acompañarnos hoy en nuestra junta. Si gusta escuchar esta junta en español, por favor, vean hacia abajo de su pantalla. Hay un glóbulo que dice idioma o parece mundo. En esa parte de la pantalla, por favor, haga clic y escoja su idioma. Aunque quiera escuchar en inglés, por favor, elija inglés. Gracias.
Thank you, Santiago. We do have limited capability to manage participation during the meeting, so we do ask that if you are not speaking, that you please place your computer or your phone on mute in order to ensure good audio throughout the course of the meeting. If you would like to review these instructions, please go look at our agenda, which is a meeting notice, which is on our website at alrb.ca.gov. Thank you. We'll now go on to the first item, which is is approval of the previous meeting minutes from December 1st in Indio. May I please have a motion to approve the minutes?
So moved.
Thank you, Member Broad. May I have a second?
Second.
Thank you, Member Flores. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Thank you. The minutes from December 1st are approved. Our next agenda item is the chair's report, and I do have several items. First, I do want to reiterate our gratitude to the staff in our Indio office for a lovely reception. We had such a wonderful time visiting the office and getting to meet the staff down there, and had a really lovely reception, and now have a new favorite place to go visit. And just want to thank our newer regional director, Blas Gutierrez, for hosting and coordinating all the staff that helped set that up. It was really lovely, and we had a great meeting in Indio at the Coachella Library with wonderful presentations that were very informative from TODEC and the Desert Regional Healthcare District down there. And then also had a lovely time at the Farm Worker Breakfast, which I've heard about for years and years, and finally had the opportunity to participate in. And it was a really wonderful event, and we learned a lot, and excited to take those lessons forward into the new year and into our work here. So just really want to extend my gratitude again for just a lovely trip, and also to our staff, Devika and others who helped coordinate that and set it up. It's a lot of work to get the whole board in one place and on the road, and just really thank everyone for all their coordination. We also have an update. We 2 weeks ago now, posted on our website guidance to implement AB 2183, which was passed by the legislature and signed by the governor last year. This is a measure which makes several major changes to the Agricultural Labor Relations Act. It adds civil penalties for violations, it adds an appeal bond, and it also provides several alternative methods for workers to come together and determine how to vote in an election to determine a bargaining representative. And so those changes are explained in greater detail in the guidance, which is on our website, and you can see a link under the news and information page. We also have the guidance available in Spanish and have several new procedural forms relating to those changes that are also available in English and almost all in Spanish. Those are coming online in the coming days. So thank you to all of our staff who provided feedback on that and worked on that. I really appreciate it, and members of the public that are interested in learning more about those changes should review that guidance. Additionally, I would like to highlight, we're going to hear more from our Chief Administrative Officer during the administrative portion of the meeting, but the governor introduced his budget yesterday, and published online are 3 approved budget change proposals that the ALRB is submitting. I'm very pleased that we had strong budget proposals, and that the Department of Finance and the governor's office found it appropriate to move them forward. I think that's a great testament to the work of our administrative office, as well as the staff, particularly the general counsel and her team who worked on several of those. Very proud of the fact that we provided such strong BCPs and that they move forward given the current budget outlook for the state. And so I'm excited for the rest of the board and our staff to learn more about those details during the administrative presentation. Additionally, we have the Martin Luther King holiday coming up, and I just want to take a moment to acknowledge sort of the ties that we have between the mission of our agency as well as what that holiday commemorates in terms of public service and working through the rule of law and peacefully to fight for the rights of all people and working people in order to ensure that everyone receives equal and just treatment. So looking forward to commemorating that this coming week. And last but certainly not least, I am absolutely thrilled to congratulate our colleague, Member Hall, on his reappointment. The governor reappointed him last week, and we are thrilled to have him for another term, and thank the governor. We really enjoy his partnership and all the work that he provides to the board, and I want to take a moment to turn it over to him to see if he'd like to share a few words.
Sure, thank you. And I too would like to thank the governor for his trust that I will be able to carry out another term respectfully on the board here. It's a real delight to be able to serve with such great board members, to be able to do the work for the people of California, work for our stakeholders, for advocate for the farmers, advocate for the growers, and just making sure that California is a better place for working families. And so I just really, really, really want to thank the governor and this board for the great work that you all are doing as well. It's really, really a joy serving with each and every one of you, and to our phenomenal team, our staff members at ALRB are just as exceptional. And so again, thank you. I look forward to another term here, if you can endure me for another 5 years.
If that's the hardest thing I have to deal with, I will take it with pleasure. Thank you, Member Hall.
Thank you, Madam Chair.
Very excited to get to do another term.
Thank you.
And with that, that concludes the chair's report. We'll now go on to our next agenda item, the executive officer's report with our executive secretary, Santiago Avila Gomez.
Thank you, and good morning again, Chair Hasid and members of the board. There's just one item to report on today, and that's the consolidated complaint that was filed on December 30th of, obviously last year. And that matter is Monterey Mushrooms, Inc., involving charges 2020 CE 042 SAL and 2021 CE 007 SAL. And the commodity involves mushrooms in Monterey County, and again, it was filed on December 30th. I'm happy to answer any questions that you may have about this. Otherwise, this concludes my report, which is available along with all other reports on the ALRB's website under the Meetings tab. Thank you.
Thank you, Santiago. I don't have any questions to any of my colleagues. Does not appear so. Okay, next is our litigation report with our Chief Board Counsel, Todd Ratchin. Todd?
Hi, good morning. Can you hear me okay?
We can.
Okay, excellent. So not too much to report. There's a report available on the website updating litigation events since the last meeting in December. These updates relate to the Synagro matter pending in the Second District Court of Appeal. The matter is now fully briefed. Following briefing by the parties, the Department of Industrial Relations filed an application for leave to file an amicus brief in support of the board with the court, which the court granted and set a response deadline of yesterday, January 10th. And no response to the amicus brief was filed. So it looks like the matter is fully briefed at this point and pending action by the court, dismissing the petition or issuing the writ of review.
Thank you, Todd. We can do that during the regulatory report.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
All right. Okay.
Sorry about that. Okay, our next agenda item is the General Counsel's report with Julie Montgomery. Julie?
Good morning, everyone. Happy New Year. Good to see you all. So today I'm going to report on several settlements that our General Counsel program staff has achieved in the last month or so and since our last board meeting. And then I'll also highlight some outreach activities. So we have 4 settlements that I'm going to report on. One is a pre-complaint settlement that our Salinas Regional Office achieved with El Dorado Farms, which is in Santa Barbara County. And in that case, a blueberry worker filed 2 charges against El Dorado, claiming that the farm labor contractor, Road Farms, fired 3 workers because they complained about bad restroom conditions and lack of water for both drinking and hand washing. And then the second charge claimed that El Dorado denied the workers rehire because they had filed and participated in the ALRB's investigation of that previous charge that I mentioned. Now the ALRB, El Dorado, and the charging party settled both charges in a pre-complaint informal settlement to pay the workers for their lost wages, which was $1,500, and for notice mailings to the crews. Now, El Dorado had ceased its agricultural operations before the settlement, so we weren't able to do a reading. But El Dorado did agree that if it resumes operations within 1 year of the execution of this agreement, that ALRB will go on to the property to read notice and post. The second settlement is with Valley Ag Holdings LLC. And in that case, a grape worker in Tulare County filed a charge against Valley Ag Holdings, claiming that she and her daughter were retaliated against by being reassigned to less desirable work and then laid off because she had complained about the foreman's verbal harassment and inappropriate language toward workers. Now, our staff are in Visalia region investigated and filed a complaint after finding a violation. And the parties entered into a settlement agreement in which Valley Ag agreed to pay the workers $2,324, which was their full back pay, and for notice mailing, which they completed last month. The third settlement is involving Saticoy Berry Farms, in which a strawberry worker in Ventura County filed a charge claiming that Saticoy Berry Farms, Inc. retaliated and discriminated against her by scrutinizing her work more closely and then terminating her employment because she raised complaints on behalf of her crew, including not being paid all wages owed and not having drinking water, gloves, or toilet paper. The ALRB, Saticoy, and the charging party entered into a pre-complaint informal bilateral settlement agreement, which essentially just means that we hadn't finished our investigation, but the employer offered to fully compensate the workers, and so in that case, we usually do settle these. The worker was compensated for the full lost wages of $6,960, got an offer of reinstatement, and then we also got the usual noticing and mailing remedies in that case. Red Blossom Farms, Inc. involved a strawberry worker in Santa Barbara County, again in the Salinas region, who filed a charge alleging that that company retaliated against her and her co-worker by laying them off and not rehiring them because they complained about a foreman's mistreatment and that a foreman was clocking in workers who were not in fact working. And the parties entered into, again, a pre-complaint settlement to compensate the workers for their full lost wages, which was $8,399, offer them reinstatement, and conduct a notice reading to the workers at 2 different ranches. And ALRB agents are also going to conduct a supervisor training for their managers and supervisors about the Agricultural Labor Relations Act and their obligations. So those are our settlements. And in addition, I want to report that the Salinas office distributed 34 checks this past month to Premier Raspberry workers. So just trying to get that case finished up and get money to workers through that settlement. And so just I want to acknowledge the hard work of our regional offices and the staff and just diligently investigating these cases, settling them and resolving them quickly when we can. That Red Blossom case, for example, I think they were able to resolve it within 3 months from the charge filing date, which I thought was great. I'd like to see more of that. And we certainly do strive to achieve those kinds of results when we can. So moving on to outreach activities, our staff's been very busy, even though last month we had holidays and all that, they were still out there in full force. We had staff provide worker training presentation at the Woodlake Family Resource Center in Tulare County. Our staff did office hours at MyCop in Santa Maria. We attended a collective impact table meeting in the northern region and the Sierras in California. So I'm not quite sure exactly where that was, but we also had staff attending a meeting with United Way in Monterey County and a Farm Worker Services Coalition meeting in Imperial County with service providers. We participated, of course, as our chair mentioned, in the Farm Worker Breakfast in Calexico, hosted by the Employment Development Department. Had a number of staff there conducting outreach at that event and volunteering to help serve the workers. We attended Oaxacan Community Shed hosted by the Center for Farm Worker Families in Watsonville, which was in Santa Cruz County. Attended a vaccination clinic and event in Santa Maria in Santa Barbara County with My Turn and Visión y Compromiso, which are the 2 organizations over there. We attended an open house hosted by Visión y Compromiso in Coachella and Riverside County. Our staff also tabled and attended a vaccine event in Clear Lake in Lake County, which is north of Sacramento, I believe. Staff tabled and disseminated materials at Tacos con Derechos vaccination and resource event in the city of Madera, which was in partnership with Valley Forward and Líderes Campesinas and the Jacaranda movement. Staff tabled and distributed materials at an emergency food box distribution with Poder Popular in Santa Paula in Ventura County, and distributed materials and did outreach at a mobile Mexican consulate clinic in Madera and Goshen, which are cities in the Central Valley. And then finally, we attended, this isn't even finally, we attended an in-person open house with Centro Binacional para el Desarrollo Indígena Oaxaqueño, which is also known as CBDIO, in Salinas in Monterey County. So they've just really been out there. We also collaborated with the Civil Rights Department, which was formerly known as the Department of Fair Employment and Housing, and did an interview in Spanish, and that was also translated or interpreted into Triqui on a radio program called Líderes del Futuro, which is on KBBF 89.1 in Sonoma County. And our staff was also interviewed on a Facebook Live interview on a program called Cápsulas Educativas, hosted by the community-based organization Promotoras con Alma. So as you can see, they've been very busy and we're really getting out there, spreading the word about the ALRB. Kudos to our outreach staff and Daniela Ramirez for coordinating all of this, but of course they couldn't do it on their own. And so this is also the result of the work of the regional office staff who are in the regions and the offices, and everybody's helping out and showing up at these events, spreading the word about the ALRB and making sure people know who we are and what their rights are. So I just want to shout out to all of them. That's my report. Thank you. Let me know if you have any questions.
Thank you. I do have a couple comments, but I will look at my colleagues first to see if they have any questions or comments. I do want to reiterate the General Counsel's thanking of our staff for all of their great work and also all that activity, given how busy it is in general around the end of the year, and just thank our staff for continuing to have such a really strong statewide presence. Really appreciate it. I think, in addition, I continue, I love the great work of the settlements. I know the Red Blossom one I saw was, it was very quick from charge to settlement, and I just think that that's really great work and want to highlight that and note that I know that's really hard to do, and just share my appreciation for that. I think that's a really great result for workers when we can resolve things so quickly, and something that I always like to highlight as well, because I think that helps encourage other workers to show that it is worth it to file a charge when they see results like that. Additionally, I continue to be troubled just hearing about the lack of sanitary conditions related to field sanitation and drinking water as well. Those are real health hazards. And so I know we've talked about this in the past, but I hope that we have robust protocols to share those reports when we hear about them with Cal OSHA. They do have a 6-month statute of limitations on when those events occur. Additionally, anyone can file a report with Cal OSHA. It doesn't need to be just a worker. It is, I think, better when workers do it. One, because not only they have those details, but also there are different statutory prioritizations that Cal OSHA has to respond to when it is a worker or an incident, an accident of a certain magnitude versus when it's a complaint by someone else. So hopefully at some point in the future, maybe we can just get a refresher on just what our protocols are when we do get charges that do relate to either complaints of the relating to the labor commissioner or Cal OSHA, because I think when we're able to do that joint enforcement and just make sure that situations and workers are provided remedies, I think particularly in ag, that's always for the best. So appreciate those reports. And with that, that concludes the General Counsel's report. I will turn it over to Brian Doherty, our Chief of Administration, to provide his update, including the update on the budget.
Good morning. Just wanted to give an opportunity to kind of go through the budget change proposals that are included as part of the proposed governor's budget that was released yesterday. So we have 3 standalone ALRB proposals that will be heard as part of the legislative review process. The first proposal that was approved was excuse me, was the farm worker outreach BCP resources. This was a proposal to make permanent the outreach resources that we had previously gotten approved on a 3-year LT basis. So this proposal will allow the department to have 4 permanent and ongoing funding for our outreach activities. This includes a staff services manager 1 position, which is the position that Daniela Ramirez holds, as well as 3 AGPA positions that serve as our, I think we refer to them as our training coordinators that actually go out in the field and do the outreach events themselves. Those are going to include positions that are in our Salinas office, our Visalia office, as well as 1 additional position in our Indio office. So basically, this proposal is a continuation of those efforts moving forward, and would have permanent resources set up for that as well. This proposal is not a general fund proposal. It's being funded out of a special fund through LWDA. So we shouldn't have any issues, or it's an opportunity for us to highlight kind of all the good work that's been done through the last 3 years as part of our outreach program. Our second proposal that we have moving forward is for departmental IT and security. As part of the Department of Technology and the governor's new cybersecurity plan, there was a new CalSecure IT security roadmap that all departments are basically required to be able to implement moving forward. This essentially focuses on what each department is responsible for doing as it relates to IT security, and ensures that we're continuing to raise the bar to protect all confidential information, trafficking of data throughout the California, and ensure that we're using best practices moving forward. Being a small department, we are still held to the same standards that all other departments are held to as well. And so this proposal is an opportunity to get 1 additional information technology specialist 1 position. So it basically would double our IT unit from 1 position to 2 positions, as well as an additional $300,000 in ongoing IT contract funding. So this would allow us the resources to be able to have 1 additional position, as well as support vendor contracts that will allow us the necessary resources to kind of meet that CalSecure requirement moving forward. As you can imagine, having just 1 IT person supporting an organization of about 70 staff across the state is unobtainable. I mean, we're lucky enough to have Rafael Diaz, who's an amazing IT administrator, to be able to support everyone, but he can only do so much. So this is an opportunity to try to get at least 1 more person on board that can kind of take some of that burden off of him, as well as bring in a few more outside vendors that will be able to provide some of the monitoring on our behalf, so that we can really focus more on the policy and ensuring that we're kind of in a good position moving forward to be as secure as we possibly can. And as it also does address the fact that having migrated to more of a hybrid workforce now that we have moved to kind of a teleworking background, and having almost all of our staff at some point now working remotely. So we've gone from having 6 offices that we're supporting to really now up to another 70 home offices that we need to help support. So this BCP kind of lays the foundation to ensure that we've got a bare minimum level of resources moving forward to kind of support all of the needs for ALRB moving forward from an IT standpoint. So ultimately, this proposal adds 1 additional position and $454,000 in general fund for those efforts. So I was grateful to be able to convince the Department of Technology to support this proposal, and look forward to addressing any issues or concerns that the legislature may have about this proposal as part of the hearing process. The third and final proposal that is being brought forward in the proposed budget is resources associated with the implementation of AB 2183, which I believe you should all be familiar with. This essentially adds additional resources to the general counsel program to administer that bill, with the expectations that the additional trailer bill cleanup language would be included as part of this budget process as well. This proposal would add 3 additional attorney 3 positions to the general counsel program, as well as 3 additional field examiner 2 positions to address the workload that's created as part of that bill that went into effect on January 1st. Ultimately, the total cost for this position, for this BCP, is 6 positions and $1,113,000 in general fund that's being requested. In addition to these 3 standalone ALRB proposals, we also have resources in one consolidated proposal that went forward as part of LWDA, and that has to do with additional funding that's being requested for all of the departments that are going to be in the headquarters resource building renovation project. This is the resource building on O Street in downtown Sacramento that's being renovated. And this is the first of probably at least one additional proposal that will be submitted in future years as we get closer to move-in date. This proposal was asking for additional resources for kind of the IT infrastructure that's needed to be procured as the building is being renovated. So our portion of the cost for the IT infrastructure that's being procured, I think it was about $16,000. So we have just a small portion of that BCP. The IT infrastructure itself is being managed and procured through EDD. So this would just be a reimbursement back to EDD for the work that's being done on that. But I'll keep you posted as that goes through the budget process as well. So with that, I'm happy to answer any questions that anybody may have about these proposals that are in the January budget.
Do any of my colleagues have any questions or comments? Okay, just want to reiterate, I think all of these proposals are well thought out and well done. And with our IT proposal, I just think we've all, over the last almost 3 years, experienced this remote and hybrid environment and seen our administrative support staff, particularly our IT manager, stretch and kind of do a lot of tap dancing, juggle a lot of balls in the air, use all the metaphors. And I think we now have the data and have demonstrated what it takes to really ensure that we're able to have sufficient continuity of operations, and also make sure we're supporting all of our staff out there that are working across the state and able to do their work efficiently and appropriately. And so I really want to thank our team for drafting such a strong BCP and being very thoughtful about it, and then really appreciate the support of the administration, the governor's office, Department of Finance, in acknowledging what it takes to do this work and make sure that the ALRB is able to deliver on its mission, and supporting these requests through the legislative process. So we'll continue to keep you updated. These have to go through the legislative budget process throughout the spring and early summer. And just, again, want to express my thanks to our team for all their great work. Next, we have the legislative report with our Chief Board Counsel, Todd Ratchin, and then also the regulations update as well.
All right, I'll take care of both of them here. Legislative activity, nothing presently to report. As you said at the top of the meeting, we've got our guidance regarding AB 2183 up on the site, and procedural forms related to those amendments as well. So turning to regulations, nothing new to report at this time. We have our rulemaking process currently underway that was noticed at the very beginning of December, and the public comment period closes next Tuesday, January 17th on that.
Great, thank you. Our next item is closed session. We will not be going into closed session today. We also have public comment, so we'll now open it up for comments from the public. Santiago, do we have anyone in the comment queue?
No one has indicated a wish to speak at this time. Ask anyone in the audience in Zoom to please indicate whether they want to make a public comment by either raising your hand or simply unmuting your line. No one has indicated a wish to make public comment at this time.
Okay, thank you. Our last agenda item is announcements. Our next board meeting will be 2 weeks from now, Wednesday, January 25th. And a little preview, we will be getting an update from staff on the ALRB's new outreach efforts and updates to some of our branding materials and outreach materials as we try and improve the way that we communicate with the public and make our learning about how the ALRA works and how to file a charge and all of those things easier for the public to understand. So excited to get that update in a couple of weeks. Thank you, everyone. And with that, this concludes today's board meeting. Happy New Year. Stay safe.